Can you imagine being on the admissions committee at the University of Notre Dame? Would that not be like the worst job in the world? I'm friends with a couple people who are on the admissions committee, and every time I see them, especially when it's like March or February and they're making these decisions, you can just see it on their face, and I just want to give them this big hug and give them a big tin of buttered popcorn and round-trip tickets to anywhere in the world. A lot of people feel that way, but it's because they're all trying to get their friends into Notre Dame. But I'm in a prayer group with a group of people who work here at Notre Dame, and a couple of them work in admissions. And again, when it gets to about midwinter, and they have to read all these applications, and one application is better than the next. And this one has, 1,500 SATs and played 3 sports and served at the homeless center. And this one over here has a 33 ACTs and the symphony. This one's amazing, that one's awesome. And you only have so many spots. And I've applied to enough things now in my life that as they're kind of telling these stories, they keep everybody anonymous, so I don't want you to think they're being unprofessional, but they're just unburdening themselves about what they have to go through. And as they're telling the story, I can feel myself just getting more and more nervous. And I think, my gosh, that is gotta be the worst job in the world, to sort through all those applicants. And then all of a sudden it hits me why I'm so nervous. Being on the admissions committee is not the worst job in the world. Do you know what the worst job in the world is? Being one of the applicants. That's the worst job in the world. And God forbid that you get in, because then you have to start it all over again. Applying for med school, applying for ALP, applying for ECHO, applying for ACE, applying, this, that, and you just keep doing it over and over again. Just think about what we have to do to get to where we want to be. In fact, you don't even have to think about it very hard, because most probably you're doing it right now, which is to say, it's June. It's time for vacation, the pool, the beach. And where are you? You're in summer school. No, I don't wish to suggest that there's no merit in all of this. I don't wish to argue that competition doesn't have its benefits, that it can drive us, that it can bring out the best in us, win or lose, that the things we accomplish and the places we get into and the programs we get into can't be used to serve the world and those less fortunate. I don't want to argue any of that. I wish to make just one simple point tonight, and that is, if we are to take tonight's gospel with any seriousness, then we cannot allow that paradigm that drives 98.9% of our lives to become the guiding paradigm for our relationship with God. Christ gave us a guiding paradigm for our spiritual lives. They're called the Beatitudes. What do the Beatitudes look like? I try to imagine what a person would look like. I try to imagine what I would look like if I lived the Beatitudes. And I have to tell you, it's not easy. So much of my life is driven to succeed, accomplish, control, outcompete, out-hustle, perform, perfect, whatever. I get to the first Beatitude. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And most days, I think I can honestly say, I have no idea what that means practically in my life. I don't have time to be poor in spirit. And I can't afford most of the other Beatitudes either. They're too inconvenient. Blessed are those who mourn. Can you imagine using that as your guiding principle for your college application? Extracurricular interests, walk around dejected. just convinced of my own sinfulness and unworthiness. It just doesn't work. But there's a problem, right? The problem is, tonight we have this woman. She couldn't apply to college because she doesn't even have a name. She couldn't get the first question right. They don't even give her a name. The only way she's identified by Luke is a sinful woman. And her own actions make it clear that that's how she's identified herself as well. She's a sinful woman. She's a person who sins. But you know, as I read this gospel, I start to realize why I love the character of this woman so much. And it's this. She's actually comfortable with the identification. She walks right into the Pharisee's house, and she heads straight for Jesus. There is not a syllable of hesitation in her movements that Luke records. As completely out of place as her actions are, you probably felt it as you heard it. It's just part of her actions, they're uncomfortable. As completely out of place as they are, though, she's sublimely self-assured. Do you know what it would take for a woman publicly known as a sinner to enter into a Pharisee's house at dinner time and then walk up to the guest of honor and monopolize his time and attention? This woman is self-assured. But herself, the only thing we know about herself is that she's sinful. You see, she gets the beatitude. Blessed are the poor in spirit. She gets the whole thing. That's to say, she not only gets the poor in spirit part, but she gets the blessed part. She's a sinner. She knows it. And therefore, she knows the great secret. She, more than anyone else in that house, gets to be close to Jesus. She's the blessed one. It's the exact opposite of how you get into college, how you get into the program that you're in right now, how you make your varsity sports team, how you get into graduate school. It's acknowledging your inadequacy and your sinfulness. St. Paul writes in tonight's second reading, we're not justified by works of the law. St. Paul could not be on an admissions committee, right? We're not justified by works of the law, but by faith in Jesus Christ. And if you want to know what that idea looks like in real life, then simply follow the footsteps that this woman takes in tonight's gospel. Her entire sense of self, her meaning and identity as a person, comes not from a single thing that she does. She knows the secret. It's not what you do or what you fail to do that defines you. It's not what you accomplish or fail to accomplish that identifies you. Those things are important and they have their place, but they are not who you are. They are not what define you. We have one identity, my brothers and sisters in Christ, and the woman in tonight's gospel reveals it to us. We are sinners. But there is nothing that we do or that we don't do that can take away from us what is our primary and only identity. We are the children of God. We are the children